All right, so let's talk about the stats project here. So this project is going to be due May the 10th, and it is worth for a test grade, so please do take it seriously. Your project can be displayed using a poster, a PowerPoint, or a booklet. If you choose any other forms to display your project, please let me know before you try to do it for your project, okay? And also you can work individually with a partner or in a group of 3 students max on this project here. So this next week here, try to figure those things out, how you're going to do your project, whether you want to work in teams or if you want to work by yourself. All right, so now let's talk about the first part of your project, which is the introduction, and that's worth 10 points. So the first part of this is to make sure you write a paragraph describing your data, or like what are you trying to research. So you're going to need to list out your data points, and you need at least 20 data points. Now, behind this piece of paper, or about the second page to this, it gives you 3 options to choose from, and they are all 20 data points or above. Okay, so if you choose the options, the default options, you are pretty safe. You can also make your own, and if you make your own, it actually gives you 5 bonus points. So if you get your own original data points, you get a chance to get added 5 bonus points to your overall project. So I definitely encourage you to try to find your own data to do this project on, just because it just makes it more interesting and more meaningful to you. So for the first part here, you're going to need to write a paragraph about explaining like what's your data about. And so like a couple sentences about that, like why you might be interested in researching these data points, and what are some things that you are looking for, and then just like kind of a background information of like what your data points are about. So really should easily be able to fill out 4 sentences. So I want to see a paragraph, and then I want to see your 20 data points or more listed. So that's the first part. The second part here is the math part. Now, that first portion in the math component is going to be talking about the measures of central tendency. Now, we learned that last Thursday. So please look at, I believe, Journal 67 if you want to learn how to do that. But that's just finding the mean, median, mode, and range and calculating that given your data set. So I want to see that calculated. I want to see the work too. And then I want to see the numbers, the results. Measures of dispersion, that's when you're trying to find the standard deviation. And then you also need to interpret what does this mean once you calculate the standard deviation. So like a sentence about that or 2 sentences is sufficient. Now, at this point here, I'm not going to teach measure of dispersion until we get to like journal, I think 69, I believe. So hang tight on these 2. Displaying data, I'm going to be talking about this, I think on Tuesday. So this is going to be in Journal 68, I believe. And I will teach you how to make a frequency table, a histogram table, and a pie chart. And they're worth 4 points apiece. So this is a big chunk of the project, is to make those graphs using the data points that you're given. And the last part here is the conclusion, also worth 10 points here. You can write up to 1 to 2 paragraphs, but you should be able to write 1 paragraph, at least, bare minimum. So the first thing you'll need to do is make sure that you describe, or in your paragraph somewhere, describe like, why is the data set that you collected important or like relevant to the daily world? This could also just be like if you can't find any importance, I would say try to reinstate like what you said about like what you were trying to find with your data. The second part here is to describe whether the mean, median, mode, which one of those best represented your data, and explain why. This component here, we will learn how to figure out which is the best in when we're talking about measures of dispersion. So I believe that's going to be in like Journal 69. Then this part here is going to be describing whether your data appears to be normally distributed or positively or negatively skewed. This is going to be something we're going to be talking about once we hit measures of dispersion. So if you can't get these started yet, don't hang tight. We're going to learn all of this this week. So, and the last part here is like, I want you to write down your final conclusion from all your research. What did you gather that was like the most significant? Like, what did you find from your data? All right, so let's take a look at the back page of this rubric project. All right, so this is the back page. So on this, you might have noticed that I have put in some style points. In other words, some bonus point opportunity. You can get up to 10 bonus points. So like I said before in the first page of this, if you write your own data points, you collect your own data points, and that could be on using the website or using some sort of website, checking the internet out, or you might just go around the school and get some surveys or go into your neighborhood and get 20 data points. It's not really too difficult. Just figure out a topic you want to research on, ask people around, and you can find your sample. I also like to mention some really good websites to look for data points are maybe like the U.S. Bermuda Census. Yeah, so if you need help figuring out like places to grab some data, let me know in class. I'll point you in the right direction. And also 2 points for neatness. Okay, I love when I can actually read your project, so please make it neat. 3 points for adding color, drawings, or illustrations. So I want you to be creative in these projects like the projects we've had in the past. So I really encourage that in my assignments that I hand out, like these projects. So please, please, please take advantage of it. You'll get bonus points for it. And this is going to be out of 50 points. So yeah, I think that's it on the rubric part. This here are the options you can choose from. First option is TV viewing. These are the number of hours of watching television, sampled by 28 people. This one is about vacation days. This one's about hourly earnings with these railroad equipment manufacturers. So feel free to choose any of these 3. They're already pre-made. And just choose one. You only need to do one, choose one of these data sets to do all of the stuff in the rubric. All right, so in this video here, I'm going to go on to show you the first part on how you could do your project. So I'm going to show you how you could set up an example of how you could do your introduction and how you can do the mathematical part, but I'm going to just start off doing the measures of central tendency. So stay tuned for the next slide. So I'm going to use my example here. This example is going to be using data or a sample set from my grade book. Okay, so this data set here that I'm going to be using is the Algebra 2 Chapter 7 test scores just from one class period. So here are the test scores. There are, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 test scores here. So just keep that in mind. We're going to need that later to calculate it. So I'm just going to say that there are 23 terms here. Okay, but this is not the piece that I want to put on my, my project. I'm going to show you how you can introduce your project the correct way. So this part is my introduction, or my introductory. Here I'm stating a paragraph about what I am researching about, and right here you can see I've displayed my data set. So in this introduction, I basically say the following data set is a class sample of test scores from Chapter 7, so stating what it is that I have. Students were tested over the topic sequences and series. Compared to other previous tests, students were allowed to use their review sheet for their exam. So right here in these couple of sentences, I'm giving you a background story of what my data set's about. So in this research, I would like to know if if students using their review sheet benefited their test scores compared to previous test averages. I'm also interested in seeing if there is a large dispersion between the test scores in this sample. So you can see here in these few sentences that I'm just telling you like what I'm interested in finding, not necessarily that I'm going to find these things, but these are the things that I might be looking for. I also like to mention that because I am going to be comparing it with previous test averages, I am going to bring some extra data that I have collected from other tests. So know that I'm going to be bringing in other data that I'm not going to be calculating in this project. Okay. That being said, I am going to tell you where I got the data later on. You'll notice this in the conclusion that I tell you, oh, these are test averages that I've collected in my other gradebook. So if you decide to use numbers that you did not calculate, just to give us a better idea of like maybe other data sets and comparing it with your data set, make sure you refer to that in your conclusion or in some sort of in your writing, in your introduction or your conclusion, or cite your sources. Okay, so I want to see that. I don't want to just see numbers flying into you, like flying into your project without being cited. Okay, or that's not being calculated. All right, so let's get started with the first part of the mathematical component, and that is finding the measures of central tendency. So in the first math component, we're going to be finding the measures of central tendency, starting with the mean. Now, I don't have my data points here, but I do have it here with me on the side, so I'll be referring to it. But for the mean, that's when you want to find the average, so you're going to total up or sum up all the test scores in this story problem. So sum of test scores. And we divide that by the number of tests we have, or the number of students who took our test. So if I add up all my numbers here, I'm going to do that on my calculator, I get 1,839. And there were 23 tests, so I'm going to divide that by 23 to get about 79.96. I rounded to 2 decimal places. Looking at this number here, it is pretty much, if I put this in the grade book, it would count as a B. Like it would round up to 80% here and be a B. So the average test score looks like a B here. So this is the mean. So I want to see the computation and the answer, the results. Now for median, that's when you list out your data points, but they're in order. So I'm going to list them out. It's going to take a while. 39, 43, 59, 65, twice, 73, 74, 75, 79, 86, 88, 99, 92, 93, 94, 94 again. Did I do that right? Yeah. 98, 99, and 99 again. And then we have 3 101s. All right, so now I'm going to take out them in pairs to see what is my middle number. So left, right, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, it looks like the middle number here is 88. So our median, oh, sorry, that's a highlighter. It's 88. This is our median. Now let's calculate our mode. So which number came the most frequent? Well, for me, I noticed that 101 came 3 times. So the mode here has to be 101. That's pretty impressive. Like when you think about it, that means 3 people, the most frequent score here was the one when students got the bonus points, right? 101. So I got 101 for the mode. And for the range here, that's when you take your largest number and subtract it with your smallest number. So the largest number here is 101. So I'm going to take 101 and subtract it by my smallest number, which is 31. And let's see what is, or how dispersed this is. So 101 minus 31 gives you 70. Wow, that means the highest number and the lowest number about 70% off of each other. That's a huge range. Okay, so I hope that gives you a sense of what you need to do for your project. So feel free now to do at least the first part of your project, okay? So I hope this gives you an example. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to probably post that this weekend or Friday, so that way you guys can start doing the project, the complete project over this weekend, or definitely the following weekend. We're going to be doing completely working on the project in class.